Hello, welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Thank you so much for making time to join us for another edition. We basically look at the big stories for the week as reported by various media outlets. When we come back, I'll take you through those stories that made headlines this week. Be right back. So welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. Thank you so much for joining us. So this week we've seen some interesting headlines from polls to attacks and what have you. Let's start with some of the stories. Let's start with the one to do with the latest polls where Vice President Dr. Bawumia is reported to be leading that polls. We'll start with a daily graphic. And they say 2024 elections, Dr. Bawumia preferred candidate, NDC most popular party, 23.1 undecided. That's the poll. Daily Guide says Bawumia leads Mahama in survey. And then ChannelOneNews.com says election 2024, Bawumia leads with 38.9% as preferred presidential candidate. Steady. We move away from that, and there was this press conference by the majority leader. Let's see how that story was captured as well. Let's take you to Daily Guide. It says, "You are sabotaging the economy," minority told. ChannelOneNews.com, "Stop sabotaging economy through misinformation, majority to minority." We move away from that and some disturbing development around the transfer of votes around Kaswa. Let's see how that story was captured. Let's take you to the Daily Guide. They say NDC PC arrested over Kaswa stabbing. The new publisher says how Akumson's son stabbed in chest at Kaswa EC office. Still with that story, we have Daily Analyst. Kaswa chaos, 4 injured as NPP and NDC clash as how Akumson's son battles for his life. And finally, with that story, City Newsroom says EC reverses ban on political party agents at vote transfer centers. We move away from that and we go to another story breaking this week having to do with government's moves to get 5G and stories around that announcement. We start with the Chronicle. It says 5G spectrum deal is illegal. Minority speaking over there. The New Finder says NDC minority kicks against the next gen Ifraco 5G deal. And then City Newsroom, next gen Infraco 5G deal, cutting MTN off won't fix market imbalance. That's a digital entrepreneur speaking over there. Another development that is to affect all of us has to do with utility tariff adjustments. Some new figures announced by the PURC. Let's see how that was captured as well. The New Finder says electricity, water tariffs increase effective July 1st. The Ghanaian Times says electricity goes up 3.45%, water 5.16% effective July 1st. City Newsroom, PURC increases electricity, water tariffs effective July 1st. We'll wrap up with the Winneba-Kaswa Highway story, very worrying development over there. ChannelOneNews.com says part of Accra-Winneba Highway collapses at Ochereko following diversion of Ayentu River by contractor. And then MyJoyOnline.com says contractors' river diversion causes havoc on Accra-Winneba Highway. So those are the big stories for the week. When I come back, I'll introduce my guest for today.
Parliamentary as well.
Yeah. So you're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. Thank you very much. So let me introduce my guests for today and then we'll delve into the issues. I have with me Gabby Ochredako, a leading member of the MPP.
No? Just say Gabby.
Okay. A lawyer?
Yes.
Gabby, you're a journalist as well.
This Gabby is
So Gabby Ochredako has joined us today for What the Papers Are Saying. Gabby, good to have you here. It's your first time. Welcome.
Well, thanks for... You didn't invite me. I invited myself.
You invited yourself. Oh, now you are imposing yourself. Okay.
Well, I hear,
so
I
since
hear,
you
I hear
invited,
the station is for me.
well, you need to clear this thing. Is the station yours?
The owner invited himself.
All right. Station is right. I'm part of Asase. We can't even. I can't
You
even.
mean
deal
we are
with that.
rivals?
I can't even deal with that. And this.
You're adding this.
I mean, I can't understand it. What have I got to do with the station?
Well,
And, by the way, congratulations.
Well, it
This
popped
is
up
amazing.
last week or so
Yes,
that you had bought.
I think someone sent it to me, so I forwarded it to Samens. And I said, where are my dividends?
You can't be, the owner and not be enjoying anything from it.
I mean, I don't know where they have imagination. It's just crazy. And for me, I even feel sad, when you're given credit for someone's hard work. I mean,
It's painful. You mean Samens's credit is coming to you.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I mean, no, all of you.
It makes news.
Yeah.
All right.
It actually went viral. I mean,
Yeah,
Yes.
it went
a lot of
viral.
people forwarded it, asking if it's true.
On what basis? Because what? Samens is my friend?
Perhaps.
No, even when the guy deleted the post, the
You
thing
mean our
won't-
correspondent from Bourgeois?
the thing won't go anywhere.
I mean, handling, as I say itself, is a big old
It's
struggle.
so much.
Channel
So, Gabby,
But anyway, congrats.
thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, I was telling somebody the other day that how come nobody used the name ChannelOne? Because it's such a simple,
Yeah.
straightforward name for a TV station, and they kept it for 50 years for you guys.
Yeah, it shows it shows the level we're going to take this to. Yeah, Channel R, yeah. Well, nobody's
but I mean,
really
it's,
done the
it's,
channel.
it's such a great name.
Yeah.
City was okay, but
Oh, this is another level.
yeah,
We're going to whip everybody,
absolutely.
including us. That's easy.
Oh, but we are not there. we are just radio.
No, we still have city. We still have
So,
city.
yeah,
so
still have city.
City as in radio.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
okay,
yes. So, yes.
Okay.
So, Gabby, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. He promised me that we're going to have fun.
Oh,
So-
no.
so,
We're
this
going
is-
to
this
talk
is-
about the
It's a
issues.
serious conversation.
It's a serious conversation, and I know you know it's serious because I can see all your documents here.
Yes.
So
I mean,
it's a serious conversation.
Fortunately, I have a research team, so I asked them when you send
The
topics.
topics,
I sent it to them, and they printed
they
it.
did
So
everything
on my
for
way
you.
here, I managed
Okay,
to look through a
good.
bit.
So I'll
I
teach a
hope
lot from you
I
today.
can do justice to it.
Okay, sure.
Forgive me if I fall short.
Don't worry, we'll be fine. Selom Adono here with us every time. Selom, thank you again for joining us today, as always. And then, of course, some of our Tamens are also here with us all the time. So
Thank you.
Thank you, too,
Thank
for
you.
joining us. So we'll start with a post which says Bawumia is leading Mahama in the latest polls. It says that Dr. Bawumia is the preferred candidate, NDC, the most popular party. And then Bawumia is leading with 38.9%. And Mahama leading with less than 34% as well. But it's the era of polls, isn't it? We see a lot of these polls around this time, and the back and forth argument. Just a few months prior, we had Global Info Analytics saying that former President Mahama would also win the polls. If you look at the two, the common thing you see there is where they say that, for example, Mahama is winning the Greater Accra region, both running through those two polls, and then Bawumia taking Ashanti region. But I'll start with you, Gabby. Because
I'm the new.
You are the new face,
voice,
so I should run to
go around and come
Samens
back.
or Selom.
Yes.
Okay, I'm throwing this to any of you, Samens and Selom. Whether, these polls things are anything to go by and we should take them seriously. Because when it suits either camp, they say it's fine, it's credible. When it doesn't suit them, they throw it away.
Well, people can throw polls away, but they also know the truth. They actually know the truth. So, but throwing it away by itself doesn't negate anything, so long as the polling process is scientific. Okay, but I can understand why politicians are worried when things don't go in their favor. Okay, I mean, it won't go in your favor is one fact, but the resulting outcome of publishing a poll can drive a bandwagon effect. You understand? Where people tend to believe that, look, I don't want to be with the losing side. So if this is where
It's saying that the winner
whoever
will
is
be,
going,
I'm going
I
there.
better go that way. So, like you said, we are going to see repeated actions in this polling. Some scientific, some people's imagination, some, dubious, all manner of polls are going to pop up. So we better get ready for it. And but for me, whichever way the polling goes, you're a politician, you are involved in this, you can't go to sleep.
Okay, Salom.
Yes, I mean, good point. So the polls will keep coming. We've seen the EIU, we've seen Global Info Analytics, now we're seeing this one. A lot more will come. What I think really it is an indicator of, what perhaps is on the ground, and also a cue to the political actors to perhaps work harder. And that's what really it is. This particular one is quite interesting. 21.3% or so of people undecided, and that is where the meat is. The undecided part. That is where the interest really will be. So it's quite safe for you to leave a huge percentage as undecided, because by all means NDC and people will cross the 34, 36, 38 mark.
Yeah.
And so the difference will be made in the undecided, column or regime. Let's see how it is. It's interesting that the NDC, according to the poll, is popular.
Yeah, the
But-
parties, but the candidates can
Yes,
win.
but
Does that hold?
the candidate, I mean, Baumia as candidate is preferred. That's quite interesting. I think we will need to find time to unpack that, because the party is popular, perhaps the party's policies, etc., are popular, but the person leading the party is not popular or he's not liked. Perhaps because he's been there before, people have seen what he's done, and people who do not like him, I don't know. And Baumia is preferred, but by implication, his party is not so popular. And so how does that work? Perhaps a lot of people who are non-partisan may want to go for him. It's interesting, but I think in the coming days we'll begin to see really how that will play out. But it offers a different kind of polling, and what we say is that the real poll is actually on the election day. And I think politicians will take a cue from this and work harder. If your candidate is not popular, but your party is popular, perhaps you need to work to prop that candidate up. If your candidate is preferred, but your party is not popular, maybe you need to do a few things to make your party look better. So yes, quite interesting. But I mean, a lot more of these are expected in the next coming days.
Okay. Does it matter, Gabi? The respondents, we are told, age between 18 and 45 years for this survey. And then the regions of interest, if you look at it, it says the MPP is leading the Ashanti, Bono Central, Eastern, Northeast, Western. NDC leading Bono East, Greater Accra, Northern, Oti, Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, and Volta regions. Any shocks for you over there?
Well,
And does it matter with the age? I mean,
Well,
18 to 45.
I think really 18 and 45, that's where you have, I suspect, about 70%, if not more, of voters within that range. So, but we understand they spoke to nearly 60,000 people.
Yes, 59,000 voters.
547. That's huge. And they claim a margin of error of 1%. I think that's a bit too conservative. Could be as much as 2.5. But anyway, that's what they're saying. But for me, what is interesting, it's on the 15th of March, 2024, we had Dr. Omani Boama of NDC predicting that John Mahama will win by 57.3%. This is 15th March 2024. And then 23rd May 2024, Asiedun Ketia, this is on Manja Online, predicting that John Mahama will win by 52%. Um, so between March and May, if they have been consistent and they're looking at the same trend of polls, I mean tracking polls, then they are seeing that their candidates' popularity, going by NDC, I'm just saying, it's just NDC, it's dropping. It's dropping. I remember last year, I was asked the question during the MPP primaries that what are the chances of the MPP winning? And this is by some non-Ghanaians. And I said, well, if elections were held today, NDC will be on top. But elections will not be held today. The NDC have chosen their candidate. The MPP will choose their candidate. Once they choose their candidate and then the campaign starts, then people, voters, will begin to look at the two candidates and what they represent. Before that, it becomes a referendum on the ruling party. So, because all the issues are about what the ruling party is doing or not doing. And when the MPP also chose their candidate, they didn't immediately start campaigning. They went into parliamentary primaries and he gave a big speech. And I think it was only recently, was it last month? That he actually started his campaign. You know, so even if I'm told today that, even if I was told today that John Mahama was on top, it wouldn't have surprised me because Bawumia has just started his campaign. You know, so I'll ask you, well, let's come back in 3 months' time and let's see what happens. You know, but what is interesting about the polls, and like I said, before saying it, that's why I mentioned what the NDC themselves were predicting before these polls were announced. But what is it? It's true that you can have a presidential candidate being more popular than his or her party, or the party being popular than the candidate. If you look at 2020, and if you look at the MPP votes, in terms of the popular votes, if you put together all their parliamentary votes, if you put together all their presidential votes, and if you look at even the coincidences that MPP won or lost, it appears that their presidential candidate was more popular than the party.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, I mean, you can look at Central Region. Akufo-Addo won, but their parliamentary candidates came second to the NDC. So it is possible that the party can be popular than a presidential candidate. What that means is that then perhaps the party needs to do more. It looks like then the party's chances may be more in parliamentary, or that may not be the case. But what's actually also interesting when you look at the parliamentary votes in 2020 is that for the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic, you had a situation where a party won without winning Greater Accra, the presidential election. It's never happened in our history. When you lose Greater Accra, you lose Central Region, you lose the country. You know, so it appears the dynamics are not as they used to be, and particularly in this election where you have two candidates from the proverbial north or the geographical north. Okay, the dynamics may not be what we've been used to.
Okay, so people are still saying, not to catch you, but just a quick one, since you're bringing the regions in terms of the dynamics changing, the one who wins Ashanti is likely to take it. Are you still going by that? Well,
I think in that case, then the MPP will win, because then people will win Ashanti anyway. but you know, but it's, I think really, it is by how huge the margins are. And you know, if you're an incumbent, your biggest fundamental issue will be apathy. if you're incumbent, is the biggest issue. How do you energize your own
still
base?
vote.
Because the opposition naturally are hungry for power. Okay, so you expect that naturally they will be more energized. And then when you are an incumbent, there are those who think that, well, maybe we haven't benefited or are not happy with one or two things, or people who voted for you, expectations in this country, like in many others, are sometimes too high. So it's about apathy. That's the first difficulty that an incumbent faces. And I think that the basic antidote to apathy is your base believing that you can win. If they begin to believe that it's possible that you can win, then they'll also be re-energized. So the positive aspect of this poll, it doesn't mean that Bawumia will win the election, but I think the positive aspect is that it appears his candidacy is gaining traction.
Okay.
And if it's gaining traction, it should help his base in tackling the apathy that
May
is
see.
there.
Okay.
It's there for an incumbent. You can't run away from it.
All right. Okay.
But should the
Yes, sir.
apathy only be the belief that the candidate can win? The apathy could be as a result of maybe disappointment in the
Or
incumbent.
government, yeah.
So I think that should also be accounted
Also
for somewhat,
address,
yeah.
the issue why there will be.
But I think it goes without saying, because I even made the point that people are disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the disappointment is because you always feel that there can be an opportunity. Because bear in mind, it's MPP that has a new candidate. It's not NDC. Okay? So if for any reason you were disappointed that you didn't think you got what you expected, or certain expectations were not met, or certain, there's something that you had an issue with, there will be a new candidate. Okay, so it is not too difficult to counter your disappointment with a new expectation that things may be different with this new candidate. But then I'm saying that the first antidote to tackling apathy is the belief
They can win.
that you can win.
Okay. I think we'll wrap up with this. We'll move to the next topic. Majority Leader, his press conference where he said the minority were sabotaging the economy by some statements they have made. I'll start with you, Selom, again, on your thoughts around that press conference by Afenyo Marken.
Well, I think it's a number of things that the majority put together. It's politics, really. So they cite issues about the GRA, SML. They cite issues about the minorities' opposition to the tax waivers that government wants or wanted to give some companies, and also citing this current issue of the next-gen Infraco 5G infrastructure contract and all of that. They have a right to say so. The minority also has a right to scrutinize things that government does and things that they think are not are below the line or are not up to scratch. So yes, I think it's politics. I mean, they needed to say so to bring the matters to the fore. I've not heard the minorities' response yet, but I think they will also hit back strongly and say that it's a value for money analysis they are doing, is the interest of the state they are protecting, etc. So I don't see any much. I mean, I don't see so much from that. It's really politics. No matter how you look at it, the guys who believe what the majority leader or majority guys are saying will continue to believe in that. That doesn't mean that the guys on the other side will be persuaded. I mean, it's where you stand. And indeed, we know that in the past, tax waivers have been given to people. But now the position appears to be shifting because of where people are. I think it's politics generally, for me,
Right. Sometimes the majority leader is saying that, leads to a sabotage of the economy. Isn't that too much to say, especially when we know both sides, trade these comments all the time?
I don't think the minority has contested that, and I don't even think
They're okay with it.
they have any
Sabotage
apology.
tag.
I mean, that's what they want to do because they don't believe in the way you are handling it. So any and everything they can do to bring you down, they'll do it. You know, so the banter will keep going on until elections.
Okay.
You know, but it was interesting listening to Afenyo Make. I tell you, you know, it was very interesting. I mean, some of the things, to be honest, some of the things that he revealed during that press conference, I think were things that have escaped the media themselves. You know, the number of companies who had the tax waiver, the volume of waivers, and all that. So I think that they should be given some credit in bringing some of these issues from both ends, so that the discourse can keep going.
Okay. We have less than 1 minute on that one.
Well, I think, look, perhaps the single biggest investment by the private sector over the last decade or so has been maybe Central Refinery. Okay, that's supposed to be something around $2 billion. Okay, to build a refinery, the capacity of 100,000 barrels per day. He's already done 40,000, there's 60,000 to go. Now, you have to, and I think it was quite interesting that the majority leader spoke the language of Ato Forson and Co. when they were then in the majority, which is that sometimes you shouldn't just look at the waiver per se, but what the waiver is supposed to do in terms of attracting investment. Okay? The biggest challenge that we have as a country, and I'm just focusing on one of the companies that is out there seeking a tax waiver, Central Refinery. It is investing $2 billion, the biggest single investment in your country over the last decade or so. Okay? Of course, the Newmonts invest, but over a long period. It's building a refinery that can at least take care of 30% of imported products, all right? Which means it can even ease the pressure on your local currency. And when it does that, we all know it can bring greater stability and the rest of it. So you have to look at all these things, okay? And then not focus on whether the waiver will take revenue from us. But if the investment itself over a long period can lead to, if you like, stabilizing the economy, bringing greater investment, and the rest of it, you have to balance all that. And this has been
ideally, that's
reason.
what is supposed to, achieve at the end of the day. But when we're seeing too much of this growing and that is not being achieved,
but I'm saying that
problem,
I think there was also a situation where the whole tax exemption area had been abused for years.
Yes.
So it's necessary to sanitize it. But in sanitizing it, you should not kill businesses, especially where it will benefit the country. You know, one of the challenges that we haven't addressed adequately in this country is the situation of Parliament today. Never in our history as a country have we had a situation where the Speaker is from the opposition, and if for any reason some man's as an MP misses his flight coming back into Ghana, you have a problem passing something in Parliament. You know, sometimes you have to have some sympathy for the executive, the situation that we're in. Because what it does is that it creates needless gridlock, and particularly for an opposition that for obvious political reasons would want to frustrate the work of government. You know, so it's been an extremely difficult situation in terms of getting your policies through, and at the same time, the economic situation itself has been difficult. And I think the two have been playing at each other and making the situation worse. But I think sometimes we must have sympathy in how, you know, the challenge that this particular government has in handling a parliament with a speaker who is opposition and whose situation may even Weston, perhaps if he gets a promise that in the event of Mahama winning, he'll be retained.
Okay.
But I think we should bear that in mind, and that a lot of the challenges that we're facing, because of course you're not going to get any space from the opposition, particularly in election year, even if it's for the good of the country. And that's where I think maybe the media and everybody must be up and say, look, this is in the interest of the country. Let it go.
Okay. All right. It's what the papers are saying. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with Samuel Tamensa, Sela Madonu, as well as Gabby Ochredanko. When we come back, we'll look at some violence we've seen around vote transfer, around certain polling stations or constituencies across the country. We'll be right back. Hello, and welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. I'm here with Samuel Tamensa, Sela Madonu, as well as Gabby Ochredanko. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, we'll move to some other stories. Let's go to the voter transfer issues. Daily Guide, for example, is saying that NDC parliamentary candidate arrested over Kaswa stab. And then we also have this troubling development still at Kaswa, where Howard Kumson's son was stabbed in the chest and still at 37, you know, dealing with his injuries and all that. A few days or a few hours after that development, we had the EC banning, you know, political agents from going to the constituencies to oversee the transfers. And then some hours back, they reversed that ban. There's no law that, Salam, let me start with you in this matter. There's no law that says they have to be there or not. This is just, you know, a mutual agreement between the parties and the EC, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. The EC decided to allow the parties into the process, so they improve transparency, etc. But given the difficulties, I mean, the EC had to revoke that. So many have, of course, many called it the EC's magnanimity, which essentially could be the case. But it was also important to allow the political parties into the space because of issues of mistrust and suspicions. So I wasn't so sure about why the EC will revoke the decision to allow parties into the fray, particularly because the EC is suffering some trust issues with the largest opposition party, and it's always been the case, really. So banning political party activity around the transfer, when we know that the two major parties have been busing people, you know, they've been challenged to it, etc., and the skirmishes were occasioned by similar challenges, I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I thought the EC rather should have encouraged the security personnel to do better, beef up security at these centers. Fortunately, the centers are not many. It's not as if it's happening in all electoral areas or in all polling stations. Just their district offices, you know, in most areas. So I think that the solution really should have been improving the security and strengthening the existing guidelines that they have agreed upon by themselves. So, you know, the Kaswa incident, very bad. Somebody just stabbed in the chest. Yeah. That was terrible. And if you follow the story, they said around 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., I mean, the guys come to kill. Some use stones and chairs. Why must you wake up at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. to go and queue to transfer your vote? Yeah. I mean, and is the EC not looking at this? I mean, it's 2 a.m., 4 a.m., queue to transfer your vote. I don't think it's worth it so much. Yeah. The EC could make life easier. Why can't we have this happening, you know, around the clock? Yeah, and they've said it many times, but it's never been done. This should be a wake-up call for the EC. So they put their house in order properly, pass the necessary CIs, and get this thing done. Yeah. I don't see why I'll wake up at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m.
Well, you wouldn't. Somebody
would.
Yeah,
but why should somebody do that?
Yeah.
And when you look at these people, there are people who are guarded or encouraged by the political actors to do it. And you say you want to take out the political actors from it. How is it going to work? It's not going to work. Put your house in order. Let it be, you know, a 24-hour, an all-year-round business. So everybody can just walk to the EC office and do that. We don't have to wait to a time like this. Yeah. You know, I don't really see it. Okay. I do not really see it. And you see, the EC also sometimes doesn't read the room. In such an environment, you know, given the
Kaswa, for that
suspicions
matter.
and all of the things around, you don't come to say you are revoking the ban. So I wasn't surprised they made a U-turn. And you see the EC making a lot of U-turns, you know, correcting errors, you know, sometimes simple additions, etc. It's not very good. And so before they make or take certain decisions, I think they should think through properly, so that when the decision is taken, I'm not saying they should not change their minds at all, but the decision, when they made the decision, I knew it was not going to go far. Immediately, NDC and John Mahama came out to say the EC was colluding with the NPP to rig the elections. You know, they don't need to give opportunity for comments like that. Because, you know, you can't tell me you are taking them out. When they were registering, they were part. Transferred, people are busing people from other constituencies to the other. And generally, they say it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you want to take out the political parties, it can't happen. We saw it in Yendi, we've seen it in Kaswa, many of those happening in other areas. The EC must just put its house in order and ensure that we don't see these tensions in times like this. We don't need it.
Right, there'll be time for some reforms in these some of these.
Well, I think for some reason, when it comes to elections, you know, testosterone start going up high and the rest of it. So I think we used to it. Of course, the violence, that can't be good. But I think Salom made the point. A lot of these issues are very isolated. I think by and large, the exercise has been quite positive. I understand over 770,000 people are registered. The register in 2020 was 17 million, and we expect maybe a little under 19 million for this year. I think 2023 they registered about 890,000 or something like that. So at least there's enthusiasm for young voters. I think that's positive. The attacks that I've read about is Tamale. There were gunshots in Tamale, and say Asunafo North or South, and of course what happened in Kaswa. But I just feel that for me the one problem that I also saw, and I think I had NDC candidate in Yawaso West Wagon, and I think also the MP, they were complaining, and I think I also saw a statement by Nooks complaining that students must, you know, I think they're going to have a challenge going all the way to the district office to register. And this is targeting young people. And really, when you have Legon, what's the population of Legon? About 40,000 or so. It's a district.
Yeah.
You know, so providing a registration center at Legon, I think will be fair to students, because now some are it's not too much to ask. So I think the EC should consider that, and it can happen in Cape Coast, maybe Kumasi.
All the universities.
Yes, absolutely. I think they should take a look at that. They can treat it as a special case, particularly when this special registration is usually for young people, those who are new registrants and the rest of it. And where are they most concentrated? On campuses.
Right.
Yeah, so, and it's difficult for them, particularly some of them are having exams now and the rest of it, to be moving around. So if you want to encourage young people to register to vote, I think we should take it to them.
We should incentivize the process.
Absolutely.
By establishing or
make it easy for them to.
And I think it relieves the political parties as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't have to spend a lot of resources busing people from
all
point
over
A
the
to
place.
point
And then
B
you
all
bust
that.
them, and there's no guarantee they will
They
even
will
vote
vote
for you.
Kaswa is always in the news for some bad reasons. I mean, it's what it is. The last elections, we saw some violence over there. We're seeing some violence again during transfer of votes and registration. Should we critically look at Kaswa again, especially coming to the elections?
Well, we should look at Kaswa and any other community that looks like Kaswa, I mean, within this context, because a lot of the times, so many things happen that don't get the benefit of hitting the headlines. You know, and maybe until it gets to the extreme. I mean, somebody pulling a gun and all this. You don't see that happening. But a lot of things happen, a whole lot. And for me, is a signal that we should take this year's election security more seriously than we have ever done. And this is to the Interior Minister and his team. If there's any time in this country that we have needed deliberate strategies to manage election securities, I think it's this year.
This is the time. Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the 5G issues and utility tariffs adjustments in a bit. We'll be right back. Welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, we're wrapping up. I'm here with somewhat Mensa Salamadono as well as Gabi Ochredako. We'll look at some few topics and then we'll go our way. You know, there's the story to do with the minority leader and on the ambulance case. It's still developing some wings. So in court today, a few stories coming out from there. For example, if you look at ChannelOne News, it was only an advice. I will prosecute ambulance case, Attorney General speaking over there. And also we have one saying that audio does not show AG instructing Jakpa to implicate Ato Force. That's the judge speaking over there. I'll start with, Salam, today you are the one who is starting with everything. This one is a legal case, so I'll start with you come to...
Senior counsel.
So, yes, so between the two of you, one of you can take this one. Interesting developments from the courts, isn't it?
Well, interesting, yes. The applications before the court, I mean, when you listen to a lot of people, they will tell you that it didn't look likely that the court was going to grant those applications, especially because the facts of the case, you know, were not, how do I say, the facts before the courts were not impaired, if you like, by the so-called recordings and engagement of the AG with Jakpa and all of that. The facts were quite different. The issue had to do with misconduct, the fact that whether the AG was supposed to have been involved in that communication at all. That, the judge said, was a matter for a different forum, the General Legal Council and all of that to deal with. Of course, I understand the NDC disagrees with that and they think that they want to appeal that. So another key point from that was the judge's quote-unquote strong advice to the AG to take himself, to recuse himself or take himself off the case in terms of prosecuting it. That would have been good for the optics, perhaps, but I mean, essentially, the AG, it will be difficult for the AG not to have anything to do with the case because the prosecutions are done at his instance. And so perhaps leaving it or recusing himself would just be good for the optics. But the AG said he felt it was just a piece of advice and that he will continue prosecuting it. I don't know whether really he will continue doing it to the end or he will just want to show face so people see that he's not been so affected by the happenings and maybe take a backstage and make the rest of the things continue. In any case, a big part of the matter has been done already. The AG is closed his case. Prima facie case has been determined against the people. I think Ato Forsen himself has finished his case. It's left with Jakpa, who opened his case recently. I think the AG will later cross-examine him. But I don't know if the AG himself will want to do that, and it will be an interesting sight to behold, given what has happened between himself and Jakpa.
Yeah.
But of course, the AG department has very qualified and competent people
can take it up,
who can do a lot of the things. So if you ask me, well, the AG doesn't have to necessarily recuse himself, but for the optics and for what ordinary people interested in justice will see and believe, I think it will not be too bad for him to take, you know, a back seat.
Yeah.
Because it will surely happen around him. You have conference,
Yeah.
you discuss the case, this is the direction you want to go, so you just go and execute it. Those things will happen, whether he's in the case or not. So,
okay.
Well, let's see how it plays out. But I'm not surprised at all at the ruling of the judge.
Yeah. Gabi, shouldn't the AG listen to the advice of the judge and take himself out of this case?
Well, I'm sure he will listen and then he will consider it and then take a decision that he feels will serve the interests of justice best. And if it means that he has to continue, it wasn't a ruling. It was as a suggestion from the church.
Yeah, I think it was captured in the ruling at some point. I don't know.
You haven't read it, but
No, it was a suggestion.
I think yes. Yeah, my
Even
understanding is
Gofredame
that-
repeated that.
Yeah, it was a
It's
suggestion.
just
If it was a
suggested,
suggestion, then he will listen and then consider it and then decide what's in the best interest of serving justice in this matter. My little difficulty with this is that you're under cross-examination and you throw in an allegation against a party that is yet to cross-examine you. And if the allegation that you threw out into the matter was relevant and was allowed by the court, assuming it was, or aspect of it that was allowed by the court, then you should allow yourself to be cross-examined on those facts. If those facts are relevant to the case. If they're not relevant to the case, then they shouldn't be there in the first place. You know, so I think really, for me, and the judge was right in stating the circumstances where a mistrial case can be made. One is that the jury could not maybe reach a decision, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a jury trial. Two, there's misconduct on the part of the lawyer or the prosecution or the investigators or something like that. And three, maybe there's a major procedural error in how the case has been handled. Those are the three instances.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but won't you term what we heard on the audio where the guy says that the AG had been forcing him to implicate the minority leader as, you know, misconduct for the AG in this sense?
For me, I have listened to some aspects of the tape. I cannot even say I've listened to the whole tape, but what was played to be the relevant aspects of the tape. And I listened to the tape after I heard the allegation. And then when I juxtaposed what I heard on the tape to the allegation, I couldn't
Reconcile.
You know, I mean, apart from the commentary by Asiedun Katia, I couldn't reconcile. But you know, there's some sympathy I have for the AG on this matter, in the sense that a lot of pressure has come to bear on him. And I think when you are prosecuting a huge political figure, it should be expected that there's some pressure. It is how you deal with the pressure. And I think he's been consistent in so dealing with the case, okay, regardless of the pressure. And for me, the recording was unfortunate, the conversation was unfortunate, but lawyers will tell you that a lot of things happen outside of the courtroom. A lot of things happen outside the courtroom, particularly in a situation where you have maybe an accused person that is also fond of changing his lawyers, and there are sometimes he hasn't got a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. You know, for me, it's just, it appears to me as if he set out to trap him after an opportunity has been opened to have a conversation. And the conversation it took place because there was some respect about maybe how the whole thing was initiated.
But is it accepted to speak with him directly without his lawyer in cases
But
like
that's
that?
why, I mean, one aspect I've heard was that even the time that a conversation took place,
Do you have a lawyer?
he didn't have a lawyer.
Okay, so
Okay,
this
he had
is
come
not
to court,
as
and he
new
was
as it is.
the next time they went to court, there was a new lawyer.
But does that still immune him from that? If he didn't have a lawyer and was changing a lawyer,
he didn't have
the
a
rules are clear.
What are the rules that he? That if you
Can
don't,
he
if you,
speak with him without his lawyer?
if
you
don't
are
have
the
a
lawyer, yes.
But if you don't have a lawyer, then who's the lawyer to speak to?
Well, so hang on. The case is still going on. You could wait, or
No, but my point is, conversations. If the conversation was to get him, induce him to do something, okay, which will go against the course of justice, then of course you may have an issue. But if a conversation is about maybe an understanding of the case, okay, and that conversation would have been had with a lawyer if he had a lawyer, and in a particular period you don't have a lawyer, and you have some understanding of the case which you are seeking clarity from the prosecution outside the court, and he grants it, and what he granted was not outside of the perimeters of his case, because everything that the AG said, what I heard him say, was part of the case that he had already closed. It's not as if he introduced any new facts. He didn't introduce any new evidence. He had closed his case. The AG had closed his case. You came out to say that there was no case to answer. You made that submission. 30th of March or so, the court came out. Was it the 30th of March? Court came out to say that no, you have a case to answer. And I think one of the things was that they said, yes, they admitted that there was a defect with the ambulance, but then they said that, this is A3, the third accused, that there were moves to fix the defects, thereby proffering the case that there was no loss occasioned to the state. So the court says, okay, come and satisfy us of that. You accept that the ambulance was defective, or the ambulances, is that right? Okay. Were defective. But then you said that there was what? You were making moves to fix it, okay? So which means the prosecution has made its case about the defects.
okay, Abby.
And then you can come out and make the case that, but we were making moves to fix it. And then at the end of the day, if you make your case, you should.
All right, we have to
it's
leave it here.
It's not easy to find someone guilty. That's what, let's not think that it is once the AG makes a case, he will.
No,
absolutely. I mean,
Right.
But I mean, I get this picture.
Maybe you have 30 seconds. Our time
Okay.
is up.
So, all three issues that were raised went in favor of the MPP. Is that correct?
MPP?
I mean, the state.
Sorry.
The Republic.
The Republic. Sorry about that. But the MPP contested the issue about the tape was doctored. Okay, and then the NDC said, okay, then bring
you the one that is authentic, that is not doctored.
I said, no, it's not about the length of it. I mean, you can take 5 minutes of it and still doctor it. It's not about the length of it. So it's not whether it's 26, whether I don't know. But what is of concern is the judge admitted it.
That?
No, he says that
admitted evidence.
Admitted the evidence.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually commented on it. And for me, that's interesting. So whether doctored or not, he claimed, no, I've used it. This is what I'm using.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's something that we shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah.
That's the point that I was just trying to make. And then she goes ahead to say that the commentary or the exchanges you had with the gentleman about how he can excuse himself from is discomforting. For which reason she suggests that the General Legal Counsel, it generally doesn't look too good for the AG.
Yeah.
maybe not legally, but even the
Image-wise,
optics.
reputation, yeah.
You know, so that's where that's my only takeout from this. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even look like one, but
But my thing is, I don't know how they look like.
Yeah, no, they look like that.
Yes. I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
lawyers who are as big as you, and lawyers who are small as me. You know, so it doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
But for me, the
Yeah.
key thing is, I don't think the issue should be whether it's doctored or not. Okay, you've made a case and you brought a tape to support it. Does the tape support the case you made? You know, so it's not even whether it was doctored or not, but the evidence that those who were accusing or making allegations against the AG, the evidence that they brought, does it support the allegations?
The allegations.
You know, so for me, the
When
doctrine.
you have found a witness statement and nothing of that nature was found in there, you know, so it makes it. I think they just threw it in there to sort of expose the AG and
Yeah.
create some public disaffection for it,
Yes,
which we shouldn't take lightly, because some of the things the AG said on the
Yeah,
tape,
yeah.
I mean, getting the medical
Get a
excuse when they are not sick and all of that, I
say
don't
that
think
you were, you
the
know.
AG should have found himself. or
Well,
got
unless
himself saying
maybe
those things.
the part where the guy has said that he had a tummy ache because maybe he drank water in the morning. We didn't hear
which
that.
part
But maybe
was
that.
that?
Yes.
Where was that one? Where was that one?
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it here. Our time is up. Thank you very much, Gabby Darko. Thank you very much, Salom. Thank you very much,
You
Samuel
come again.
Tamisa. And thank you to our viewers for joining us. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. We hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.